During last lecture, we were discussing about the chemical properties of group 16, 17 and 18 elements, and already we discussed about the reaction of group 16, 17 and 18 elements with hydrogen. They form the hydrides. Now next point is reactivity of these elements towards oxygen. That is first point, chemical reactivity of group 16 elements towards oxygen. So this group 16 element, that is sulfur, selenium, tellurium, polonium, oxygen, sulfur, selenium, tellurium and polonium, these elements react with oxygen and they form the oxides of the type EO2 and EO3, dioxide or trioxide. For example, sulfur react with oxygen and it forms sulfur dioxide and sulfur trioxide. Selenium also react with oxygen, it forms selenium dioxide, selenium trioxide. Similarly, tellurium also forms dioxide and trioxide. Polonium only forms stable dioxide. Its trioxide is not stable, and actually in trioxide oxidation state of these elements it is +6, and in dioxide oxidation state of sulfur, selenium, tellurium and polonium it is +4. Actually out of various oxides, especially sulfur dioxide and ozone, actually ozone it is oxide of oxygen, it means O plus O2, that is equal to O3. So ozone and sulfur dioxide, these are the gases. Selenium dioxide, this is the solid. Selenium dioxide is a solid. Most of the other oxides are also solids. Now these oxides, these are acidic and react with water and form the acid. For example, sulfur dioxide react with water and there is a formation of sulfurous acid, H2CO3, SO3. Selenium dioxide also react with water and there is a formation of selenous acid, H2SeO3. And therefore these are the acidic oxides. Selenium trioxide reacts with water and there is a formation of selenic acid, H2SeO4. Tellurium trioxide reacts with water and there is a formation of telluric acid, and all these oxides, these are the acidic oxides. So in this way group 16 elements react with oxygen and they form the oxides of the type EO2, that is dioxide, and EO3, and these oxides are acidic. Now the reducing property of some oxides follows this order. Sulfur dioxide, it has highest reducing property than the selenium dioxide, which is more reducing than tellurium dioxide. And you know, reducing agent, it is a substance which reduces the other substance and itself undergoes oxidation. It means sulfur dioxide, it is a reducing agent, it combines with other element and reduces other element but itself undergoes oxidation, that is it converted into sulfur trioxide. Similarly, selenium dioxide gets converted into selenium trioxide at the time of reaction with other element while showing its reducing property. Similarly, tellurium dioxide gets converted into tellurium trioxide at the time of reaction. So in this way these are showing, these oxides shows reducing properties, and sulfur dioxide, it is showing most reducing property, or it is the most reducing agent. Similarly, group 17 elements also react with oxygen. For example, fluorine reacts with oxygen and there is a formation of oxygen difluoride, OF2. Oxidation state of oxygen in this compound, it is -1. Actually, you know, stable oxidation state of oxygen is -2, but here in this compound, in OF2, oxidation state of fluorine is -1 and that of oxygen is +2. So actually -1, this is the oxidation state of fluorine. Similarly, fluorine also react with oxygen and there is a formation of F2O2. This F2O2, it is used for the isolation of plutonium at the time of metallurgical operation, or during isolation of metal. Plutonium is a radioactive element, so this plutonium combines with fluorine and there is a formation of plutonium fluoride. And for the conversion of plutonium into plutonium fluoride, there is a use of F2O2. So this F2O2, it is used in the isolation of plutonium. Chlorine combines with oxygen and it forms these oxides, Cl2O, ClO2, this is dioxide, this is monoxide, Cl2O3 and Cl2O7. These are the corresponding oxidation states of halogens. In Cl2O, oxidation state of chlorine is +1. In ClO2, oxidation state of chlorine is +4. In Cl2O6, its oxidation state of chlorine is +6. And in Cl2O7, oxidation state of chlorine is +7. Out of various oxides of chlorine, Cl2O, it is very good bleaching agent. Bromine also react with oxygen and form BRO, that is monoxide, in which oxidation state of bromine is +1. It form bromine dioxide. In this compound, oxidation state of bromine is +4. Bromine tetraoxide, oxidation state of bromine here it is +6. Iodine form I2O4, I2O5, I2O7. This I2O5, iodine pentoxide, it is used in the determination of carbon monoxide. All the halogen oxides, these are oxidizing agents. All these halogen oxides, these are the oxidizing agents. And this was about the reactivity of group 16-17 elements with oxygen. Group 18 elements, hardly they react with oxygen, especially actually xenon react with oxygen, but other elements are chemically inert. Now next is reactivity towards halogens. Chemical reactivity of group 16 element towards halogen. So group 16 elements react with halogen and they form E2X2, where E is a group 16 element, that is oxygen, sulfur, selenium, tellurium and polonium. It also form the compound of the type EX2, that is dihalide, tetrahalide and hexahalide. For example, oxygen, sulfur and selenium, they forms the monohalides. Okay, so monohalide of oxygen, it is O2F2. Okay, it means OF. Actually OF, it is unstable, it exists as a O2F2 and therefore this is a monohalide. So monohalides, These are dimeric. Always they exist in dimeric condition. OF dimerize and there is a formation of O2F2. SF dimerize to get S2F2. So all these are existing in dimeric condition, and these dimers or monohalides undergoes disproportionation and they gets converted into tetrahalide, okay, like by this reaction. So selenium dichloride, after disproportionation there is a formation of selenium tetrachloride. These elements also form dihalides like oxygen difluoride, sulfur dichloride, selenium dichloride, tellurium dichloride and selenium dibromide. Dichlorides and dibromides, these are tetrahedral. Actually there are two lone pairs of electrons. Hybridization of oxygen, sulfur, selenium, tellurium, hybridization of these element, it is sp3. There are two lone pairs and two bond pairs. Okay, so these molecules undergo the tetrahedral hybridization, that is sp3, but actual shape of this molecule is angular. So these halides, that is sulfur, sulfur, selenium, tellurium, they form tetrahalides also. For example, sulfur tetrafluoride, selenium tetrafluoride, tellurium tetrafluoride and tellurium tetrachloride. Tetrahalides, these are actually undergoes, or central atom, that is sulfur, selenium, tellurium undergoes sp3 dehybridization, and the characteristic geometry of this hybridization is trigonal bipyramidal or seesaw geometry. So here there are 4 bond pairs and 1 lone pair, and therefore trigonal bipyramidal geometry gets distorted and actual shape will be seesaw type. Sulfur tetrafluoride and selenium tetrafluoride these are liquids and tellurium tetrafluoride is a solid. So this is about the physical state of some tetrahalides. So group 16 elements, they also form hexahalides of the type EX6, that is sulfur hexafluoride, selenium hexafluoride and tellurium hexafluoride. In hexafluoride, the central atom, that is sulfur, selenium and tellurium undergoes sp3d2 hybridization, and their regular geometry, it is octahedral. Regular geometry is octahedral. Actually sulfur, selenium and tellurium, in outermost shell there are 6 electrons, and actually 6 halogen atoms are attached to these atoms, and therefore there is no any lone pair. All the 6 bond pairs are there and they have a regular octahedral geometry. Most important thing is all these hexahalides, these are gases. These are gases. Now overall stability of halides of group 16 elements follows this order. Fluorides are most stable than the chlorides, which are more stable than the bromides. Bromides are more stable than the iodides. Now reason for this is, now when we proceed from fluoride to chloride to bromide to iodide, bond length increases, bond strength decreases, and therefore stability also decreases. So halides are less stable and fluorides are the most stable. This is very important. Now next point is chemical reactivity of group 17 elements towards halogen. So halogens react with other halogens and there is a formation of interhalogen compounds of the type X, X prime or X dash, X, X3, X, X5, X, X7. So out of two halogens, the X halogen, that is the halogen with larger size, and X prime, this is the halogen with smaller size. In periodic table, you know that fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine and astatine, these are the halogens, and from top to bottom atomic size increases. So when we compare chlorine and iodine, chlorine, it is the halogen with smaller size, iodine, it is the halogen with larger size. So X, this X, it is the halogen with larger size, and X dash, it is the halogen with smaller size. For example, chlorine combined with fluorine and there is a formation of interhalogen compound ClF. Similarly, BrF, BrCl and ICl. There is a possibility of X3 type of interhalogen compounds like ClF3, BrF3, IF3, ICl3. That is chlorine trifluoride, chlorine, bromine trifluoride, iodine trifluoride and iodine trichloride. So here chlorine is the halogen with larger size and fluorine has a smaller size. So X5 type of interhalogen compounds, chlorine pentafluoride, bromine pentafluoride, iodine pentafluoride. X7 type of halogen, only iodine is able to form the heptahalide, that is iodine heptafluoride. So in this way, especially halogen with larger size combines with halogen with smaller size and there is a formation of interhalogen compounds. Now chemical reactivity of group 18 elements towards halogen. Group 18 elements are chemically inert because their octets are complete. In outermost shell there are 8 electrons and therefore chemically these group 18 elements, these are chemically less reactive. But out of various inert gases or group 18 elements, krypton and xenon, they react directly with fluorine and there is a formation of xenon difluoride, xenon tetrafluoride, xenon hexafluoride, etc. Recently these compounds have been isolated. Even krypton is also able to form with fluorine and forms fluorides. Actually fluorine is the most reactive non-metal and therefore these inert gases krypton and xenon react with fluorine. Now xenon when mixed with fluorine, both are gases. When xenon gas is mixed with fluorine gas and it is heated up to 673 Kelvin at 1 atmospheric pressure, then there is a formation of xenon difluoride. So xenon fluorides, that is difluoride, tetrafluoride, hexafluoride, all the xenon fluorides are crystalline and colorless. Actually the xenon difluoride, it is in solid state. Even xenon tetrafluoride is also solid and xenon hexafluoride is also solid, and these are crystalline solids and colorless. These are also powerful fluorinating agents. So easily fluorination of other compound can be done by using xenon tetrafluoride, xenon hexafluoride, etc. Now reactivity of group 16, 17, 18 elements towards metal. Group 16 elements react with metal and there is a formation of oxides, sulfides and selenides. When metal combines with oxygen, there is a formation of sulfide. When metal combines with sulfur, we get sulfide. And when metal reacts with selenium, there is a formation of selenide. For example, aluminium reacts with oxygen and there is a formation of aluminium oxide. Copper react with sulfur, there is a formation of copper sulfide. Magnesium reacts with selenium and there is a formation of magnesium selenide. So in this way, group 16 elements, oxygen, sulfur, selenium, these reacts with metal and there is a formation of respective compounds like oxide, sulfide and selenide. These are the three representative examples. Now reactivity of group 17 elements towards metal. So these group 17 elements react with metal and there is a formation of metal halides. For example, chlorine reacts with sodium and there is a formation of sodium chloride, that is metal halide. Similarly, bromine react with magnesium and there is a formation of magnesium bromide. So in this way, group 17 elements like chlorine, bromine react with metals and we get metal halides like sodium chloride, magnesium bromide. Actually, reaction with fluorine is very fast or explosive and reaction with iodine is very slow, and reaction with chlorine and bromine is having a moderate rate, and therefore practically these reactions are carried out in the lab, but reaction with fluorine and iodine, these are not possible in the lab at ordinary conditions. Now ionic character of these halides decreases from fluoride to iodide. For example, metal fluoride, it is most ionic than the metal chloride, which is more ionic than the metal bromide, and which is more ionic than the metal iodide. When we take example of sodium fluoride, sodium chloride, sodium bromide and sodium iodide, then sodium fluoride, it is most ionic, and sodium iodide, it is least ionic. It means more covalent characters present in sodium iodide. Now next point is allotropes of sulfur. Now what is allotrope or allotropy? Allotropy means, you know, already we discussed in the beginning of this chapter. Some elements exist in two or more physical forms at a given set of conditions of temperature and pressure. So different physical forms of that particular element, these are called as allotropes, and sulfur exists in various allotropic forms, and out of various allotropes, rhombic sulfur and monoclinic sulfur, these are the most common allotropes of sulfur. So rhombic and monoclinic sulfur, these are the most common. Now try to go through this table. We are going to compare the properties of rhombic sulfur, also called as alpha sulfur, and monoclinic sulfur or beta sulfur. Actually, rhombic sulfur has a pale yellow color, whereas monoclinic sulfur or beta sulfur, it has a bright yellow color. Actually, both exist in solid state, but one has a pale yellow color, other has a bright yellow color. About the shape, rhombic sulfur has a shape of orthorhombic. Crystals are orthorhombic, whereas monoclinic sulfur or beta sulfur crystals are needle shaped. Melting points are different. Rhombic sulfur melts at 385.8 Kelvin, whereas monoclinic sulfur melts at 393 Kelvin. Especially melting point of rhombic sulfur is lower than the melting point of monoclinic sulfur. Their density is also different. Density of rhombic sulfur, it is greater than the density of monoclinic sulfur. Rhombic sulfur is insoluble in water but soluble in carbon disulfide, whereas monoclinic sulfur, it is soluble in carbon disulfide. About stability, rhombic sulfur, it is stable below 369 Kelvin, and as soon as temperature exceeds this value, then that alpha sulfur or rhombic sulfur gets converted into monoclinic sulfur. So monoclinic sulfur stable above this 369 Kelvin, and when temperature gets lowered below this value, then beta sulfur or monoclinic sulfur gets converted into rhombic sulfur. So keep in mind at lower temperature rhombic sulfur exists, whereas at higher temperature monoclinic sulfur exists. Now both the sulfurs, that is rhombic sulfur as well as monoclinic sulfur, exist in puckered ring structure. Both exist in puckered ring structure. Now about the method of preparation in short, this rhombic sulfur, it is prepared by evaporation of sulfur or roll sulfur in dissolved in carbon disulfide. Preparation of monoclinic sulfur is little bit different. First of all, rhombic sulfur is taken, it is melted in a dish and cooled till the crust is formed. Now 2 holes are made in the crust and remaining liquid is poured out to give the needle shaped crystals of the monoclinic sulfur. So in this way their methods are slightly different. Out of various properties, most important property is the stability. Rhombic sulfur stable below 369 Kelvin, whereas monoclinic sulfur is stable above 369 Kelvin. So this is the structure of rhombic sulfur. This is the crown shape. It has a crown shape. This angle sulfur, 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 this angle, it is 107 degree and it looks like a crown. It is also called as puckered ring structure, or it has a crown shape. It exists in chair form also. This is the chair shape. Actually in chair shape there are 6 sulfur atoms, S6, and in crown structure there are 8 sulfur atoms. Actually most common structure is the crown shape or puckered ring structure. So this is about the structure of the sulfur. Now next point is oxyacids of the sulfur. So sulfur reacts with oxygen and as well as in presence of water there is a formation of some oxyacids of sulfur, and oxyacids mostly they stable in aqueous solution or in the form of salt. So first important oxyacid is sulfurous acid. This is the structure. Its formula is H2SO3. Then sulfuric acid, you know this sulfuric acid, there are 2 S double bond O bonds. The next is di or pyrosulfuric acid. So this pyrosulfuric acid, in pyrosulfuric acid there is a OO single bond. Okay, 2 sulfur atoms are joined to each other by means of O single bond O. Now each other unit, in each other unit sulfur is attached to oxygen by means of double bond. There are 2 sulfur oxygen double bonds in each of the unit, whereas sulfur is also attached to OH groups also.